Welcome to Flyover Conservative Podcast with David and Stacy Whited, where we break down current events and examine culture through the lens of conservative Christian values.
Well, Flyover family, there's an expression my grandpa used to use, and I don't think he was the only grandpa that used it, but he would say when you're having ham and eggs for breakfast, both the pig and the chicken both contributed, but the pig was all in. The chicken contributed, the pig was all in. And I kind of gravitate towards people that are pigs. I like to spend my life mostly on the things I can be all in on. I don't like being wishy-washy or things I don't really care about. I care a lot about some things. I care very little about many other things. And today's guest is the pig, all in, 100% committed over these last number of years when it comes to election integrity. Coined the phrase, every election machine should be melted down, turned into prison bars. And I think most of us agree. We can't really have a country if you don't have the ability to release the pressure valve of people feeling like their voice was heard. And hey, we're going to wait it out another 2 years, 4 years, whatever the case may be, and then we'll get our say again, but my voice is heard. When you don't feel like that is, there's only one other result, and that is kinetic. That's that people get violent. The reason America succeeds, America thrives, is because we have the idea of our voices are heard, and we're being represented by people that we chose, that we were elected, not selected by some foreign country, by someone else. And no one has given more time, energy, and his own resources towards making that happen than the CEO of My Pillow from the great state of Minnesota, Mr. Mike Lindell.
Yay! Welcome!
Well, you guys still like me, huh?
Yes, we do. No doubt about it.
The timing of today's interview came out perfectly because, like everyone else, we saw you trending on Twitter last night and people taking phrases out and attaching them. Here's kind of the things being said based on them taking is Minnesota going to be a sanctuary state? Is Mike caving to get the Somali vote? Is amnesty, why would we be paying, taxpayers paying for, all these things? And I'm like, well, you know what? I have a very unique opportunity to be able to ask you yourself. And one thing I love about you, you always tell it like it is, and you always say the truth and what's coming on. So I'd love to give you the opportunity to frame your position as you're running for governor. You got the endorsement of President Trump. There's a massive amount of wind in your sails, and I think this is a really good opportunity for you to clarify your position of what do you see for the state of Minnesota, and how do you view the issue of illegal immigration?
Well, you're right. This is divine timing coming on your show. I mean, and let me, I guess I'm going to backphrase this, or backphrase yesterday what happens to catch everybody up in case you haven't been on social media. I've been doing interviews here in Minnesota for months now with our crazy liberal media. And by the way, Minnesota already is a sanctuary state. We let illegals drive in our vehicles or give them licenses. As you know, what happened up here with ICE and the tragedies and the protesters up here, and then you have we have 1,360 illegals in our prison that have committed felonies. They've been rape, murder, pedophiles, and we're protecting them. They need to be shipped out of here now. We're paying $110 million a year to house them. So anyway, but first I want to do a statement. Well, let's finish what manifests this. Then I'm going to tell the statement I just put out to for the public. But so yesterday, about a week ago, I got Donald Trump's endorsement. Right? And everything went to another level. The first thing on social media was Mike Lindell isn't registered to vote in Minnesota. I don't know if you guys seen that. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
They'll get everywhere. Mike Lindell doesn't have a driver's license. Mike Lindell can't run for governor. Now, this is our own party attacking you guys. This is the GOP in Minnesota. They came out after the endorsement, Alex Plenchip or whatever, on their site said, we don't want Mike Lindell. I'm polling number one I have for a year. The people want me. And so these attacks start after I get the president's endorsement. And then all of a sudden yesterday, I had a media outlet call me, the Washington Examiner, as we're talking all day, they're fighting over this. I showed them proof that, yes, I did register last year in September. And so the Washington Examiner calls up and they're asking me questions. They asked me about, of course, almost all outlets asked me about Minneapolis and what are we going to do with this sanctuary city and all the illegals here and everything.
Yep.
You got the Somalian fraud. And I made some comments there to him. I said, you got to ship these illegals out. And I said, the other ones, as they get arrested, you call up ICE. And I said, maybe we could have there are people that are on seasonal visas and that they're afraid to go renew them. You go in, you get fingerprinted, and then you can maybe get your visa, your seasonal visa, whatever. But I made some of these comments and taken out of context, but that wasn't the worst thing. The worst thing, I'm on stage here in Minnesota, Sauk Center, one of my biggest events I actually had CNN came out to do this. The timing was, it was pretty good timing for them to be here because they seen all the stuff that wasn't true. And so I spent the day with it was CNN, showed them the My Pillow factory that we're not bankrupt. That's another thing they put out. My Pillow's bankrupt. These attacks just got turned up. So here I am. I get to Sauk Center to do this huge rally and town hall, and I get a call going, the Washington Examiner just put out that you have liberal views on these illegals or whatever, and I said, what? And they said, and yeah, now it's on social media that you want amnesty. I said, are you kidding me? I said, these are fake news. But then it gets worse. Now I want you to know what happened. So I call up my social media person. I said, they're putting out these lies. And I said, I said, well, why don't we make a post on my personal Facebook, my personal social media, I have all the platforms. And we talked and we made a mistake. She said, how about this? 6 months amnesty, question mark, like, you want the real truth, go here. And that would link you to my governor's website, which on the governor's website, it shows what the illegals are costing Minnesota here in Minnesota and and my plan to export the 110 the 1,360 to get the $110 million back. If you're on the website, you can click up, go to platforms, and then scroll down. Okay, there it is, the cost of shadow government. It shows there's slides that show how much they're costing Minnesota to keep them in our prisons and stuff. But but they're right there. This is what they're going up. And this is what I've talked about before in Minnesota here on shows a month ago. There's another problem people don't see. Companies, employers are using them for basically human trafficking, slave labor, where they're bringing in illegals, right, or they're here and they're paying them cash and they're avoiding federal taxes and all our taxes here in Minnesota. These employers are stealing from all of us here, and it's $1.5 billion in Minnesota. And I'm going, we need to be able to get this money or put these people in prison. And I said, so then I made a thing, a good idea, have these people come in that are here on work visas, come in, get fingerprinted and stuff, make sure they're okay, and start charging these employers. They got to start paying taxes. That's what I said. It's not amnesty. You don't get to be a citizen. So anyway, that being said, I want to tell you, because this is going viral as we speak, you guys, I just want to put out a statement, and here's where I stand. As always, I stand with President Trump and fully support his policies to deport illegal aliens from the United States. Immigration law is a complex issue. Some of my comments have been taken out of context about guest worker visas, in which people take jobs just for a few months. And I can expand on that with you guys about these employers paying them the illegal ones that don't have the visas. And I said, I absolutely do not support amnesty. This is fake news. It's about as fake as it gets. But isn't it funny, you guys? I just want to say this. So, isn't it? It's I look at this and go, wow. Why? I was a month ago, I wasn't attacked for this. These are when on our local liberal stations here, and they go, Mike, what are you going to do if you take over as governor? Are you going to let ICE go door to door in Minneapolis like we happened? And we're a sanctuary city. Are you going to protect everybody? These are the questions I'm getting here. We have a big problem in Minnesota. And by what I had suggested on one show, get these people fingerprinted so we know who these illegals are that are here that haven't committed a crime. So then if they vote, we know they're there, and you arrest you, you're kicked out immediately. These are the guys that haven't re-upped their visas. Our vote to vote in Minnesota, you can vote. Anybody can vote. You come in here. By the way, they give our illegals driver's licenses here. They pass them out like, they're driving around. They can't read the road signs. And so I'm going, we got to change it. I would do something as governor here. What I can't do on the federal level, what they're talking about, that's a federal thing. That's the President Trump's policy, which I agree 100%. I can't do anything, but what I can do as governor, I can cooperate with ICE, ship these criminals out. And he's even said, let's get rid of the bad ones first. I think everybody wants the rapists, the murderers out of our country. And we're paying for that in Minnesota, $110 million a year. And Waltz, you just seen our governor, Tim Waltz, protecting one of them.
Yep.
Going, we don't want to ship him out. And good thing for Marco Rubio comes and says, no, you're going. Get out of here.
I wouldn't say everybody wants him out because your governor, Tim Walz, definitely is not just for people coming here wanting a better life, wanting to assimilate. Once someone has committed a crime and raped a child, he still is in favor of them. There's nothing that they could do that would ever make them fall out of his graces in the state of Minnesota. We did a show earlier this week. There's estimates there's over 107 million people in our country illegally. 107 million. It's far beyond the numbers that most people are even aware of, and it has to be done. So is one of your points is if we actually get a documented record of who's even here, who's even in the room, then we can begin to sort and file and not have these businesses employing them and running cover. Is that a point?
And have repercussions for the businesses, from my understanding, if they are.
Right. Here's where, now this part went viral that you're talking about. So I'm going to explain this to your audience. 8 years ago, back before it was just, I was the hero of the country with my pillow and going from a crack addict to an entrepreneur, building one of the biggest companies the country's ever seen, employing thousands of employees. And it's the American dream on steroids. Well, I flew down to California. It was maybe 2016, somewhere in there, 15, 16. And I was buying all these the cotton for my pillows, cotton fields, looking at the actual fields to put bids in and all these things, right? And I'm talking to the owners down there that own the fields, that own the companies. And they told me, they said, because obviously you're price shopping and this was a brand. I'm not even going to bring up the brands. And they said, those guys over there, we can't even compete with because they're hiring slave labor. They're hiring illegals and they're not paying taxes, federal taxes, workman's comp, you name it. So they're getting it's slave labor. And I go, you're kidding. I'm going, and I was in politics then, and there wasn't a big thing about illegals. That this was back in 16, it wasn't even in the news, this stuff. And I'm going, well, why are you letting that happen? He goes, well, down here, he says, if you report them, it's not going anywhere. And I said, well, you're ruining your business. They're ruining your business, and they're stealing from the state. And then it was the state of California. And right now, by those taxes, just in Minnesota alone, by people paying illegals, it's $1.5 billion. They're cheating. These employers are cheating the state of Minnesota out of our money, and with these illegals now. But what I did, and now here's where I looked into it, and I went over there. This was down by San Diego too, and I went back there because I was there for some other thing. And back then, people trusted me. I'm as transparent as you can get. I went and got to talk to the illegals, a lot of them, and they're going because they see, they recognize me, some of them,
sure.
And I didn't speak English, but I asked them. I said, what, because this farmer also said, and they don't even pay them right. They're underpaying them there because they don't care about the illegals. They care about their mighty criminal activities as employers. So I went and I talked to these illegals, and the stories they told me. They said some of them were here on visas, expired visas, and all these different things. That part didn't matter. The other thing they told me that and I don't say it didn't matter because I don't want somebody to soundbite this. They're saying that, we get our money and we know we're getting underpaid, but it's better than nothing. But the bad thing, they said, we get our money stolen from us by other people that know we're here, that we're not supposed to be here, and we get crimes committed against them, including rape. Some of them said, yeah, I'm getting attacked. This is happening to me. But who are you going to go tell?
Right.
Who are you going to go tell? And so that always set in my mind. And then as this thing over the years here, we've seen what Biden let in millions of illegals
Yep.
and all this, and we're all just going, are you kidding me? You opened up the border and let these people flood into our country, and it's disgusting. And then the fentanyl flow over the border. Well, then I thought, what are we ever going to do? Then, of course, you see all these things like, how do we solve this problem? So back then, this isn't now. I did post it. Now I posted it, and we finished. I had it touched up back in May because I thought for a nationwide thing, how do you solve this problem? Because in Minnesota, we see the president, went out. They tried to solve it. You had states that cooperated, like Memphis, Washington D.C. Here's our illegals. Ship them out. They're the easiest low hanging fruit is what? The ones that are prisons and our jails.
Sure.
If you commit a crime, you wouldn't even have to have ICE go door to door right now, but you still have a bigger problem. All of them committed a crime coming here. A lot of the crimes, though, were even misdemeanors where they came over with these visas, and then they're afraid to go renew them because now you're going to get deported because you're all grouped with these criminals that have done murder, rape, and all these. You follow me?
Yep.
Correct.
But you know who's feeding that? Who's feeding that here in Minnesota is all these employers that are paying them illegally and avoiding all these taxes. So my thing is the local media is questioning me on this. Mike, what would you do? What do you think of ICE? What do you think? I was drilled with this. This is last December when I said I was running. Well, I said I will have common sense solutions for these problems. And I said, one of the things is Minneapolis has the strictest protest laws in the world or in the United States, but they're never followed. Protesters I'm all for protesting, but don't commit crimes while you're protesting.
Don't burn down a city.
Well, Minnesota, they burned down police stations just blowing off some steam, They
burned down a police station. So what I'm saying, you bring back law enforcement, and it's very easy. When they kind of sort themselves as they commit these crimes, you bring them to the jails, and and I've talked all over Minnesota as I've ran for governor. This is a big problem we have in the sheriff's departments out of the city in rural Minnesota. I go, what happens to your illegals that you get here? Do you deport them? No, we hold them, and we have to call where we let them get released. And because of our protection, sanctuary city stuff we have in Minneapolis. So now imagine this. A Republican governor comes in. Well, what am I supposed to do? Tell the public we're going to continue on with this policy of protecting these illegals? I won't do it. They get shipped out. But what's not logical? Because the media here has asked me, would you go door to door like with ICE to get every one of them out? And you got to say, no, it didn't work. It doesn't work here. There's a problem. These people that haven't renewed their visas, there is that stuff. And all I said was, I made a comment. I said, an easy thing to do, but I can't do it as governor. This has to be done at the federal level. An easy thing would bring the ones that have been here that didn't maybe their only crime was they didn't renew their visa. They were invited into our country and given a phone and to report when they can get to the end of the line, but they never report it. You follow me?
Yep.
These people, that's their crime. They did commit a crime. It's a misdemeanor in most cases. It's a gross misdemeanor in some. I don't know that. A lot of these immigration laws are complex. But I do know that in Minnesota, you can vote. One person can vote. If you just have a license, which they're giving out to the illegals, disgusting, and no conditional things on them. So they go in to vote. And do you know in Minnesota, you can vouch for 8 other people? Yep, they live here, they live here, they live here, they live here.
Oh, my gosh.
So a common sense thing here. You got to think of this. These other governor candidates here, that these Republicans, I said stuff a month ago. on TV. I'm going, here would be solvent, but you won't be able to do it because you need the federal government to be able to do this. But here, imagine this. What if you did, you have 6 months or 120 days, I think I said. I must have said 6 months because that's why they're calling it 6-month amnesty, right?
Yep.
You have 6 months. And you go down and you go to the courthouse, you get fingerprinted and put in our system so we know who you are. Mm-hmm. And you don't get amnesty. There's no pathway to citizenship, but you could work because they're already working illegally with these illegal employers paying all this money and stealing money from our state and everybody else. Now, if you did vote, this is all hypothetical. This is what I said there. If you did vote, you just committed a crime and you're out of here. If your name shows up in that voter roll, you're out of here. I'm sorry. You're done. You're deported. If a crime's committed, I want everyone to think of this. If a crime's committed now in Minneapolis, we have no idea who did it. You don't know who these people are. They're all here illegal. Well, now if that person committed a crime, you know who they are. You can track them down to the crime, and then what do? You arrest. That's what you're supposed to do to criminals. But what do we do with the illegals? You're out of here.
Yep.
I mean, this will take and shift and get rid of all the illegals, and the bad people, get them out because like you just said, 100 and some million. It could be as high as. You guys, does anybody think? Would I like to say, hey, you all got to go. You all committed a crime here? Yes, but is it feasible? Probably not, because we've seen the president. I agree with this policy. I'd like them all out. But then he shifted. If you remember, everyone shifted. Let's get the bad ones out first. Mm-hmm. But the states didn't even cooperate with that. They're not even given. In Minnesota here, our taxpayers, we're paying for these illegals. It's disgusting.
Well, speaking of bad ones, there's no state like Minnesota where I see a gap between the people I know. We spent 30 years, at least once a year, we spent time in Minnesota doing business. And I tell you, the people of Minnesota, it is Minnesota nice, and that's been leveraged against them. But they're the hardest working. When you drive through Minnesota, you don't see cars on blocks and refrigerators in the yard. And I mean, the people of Minnesota are diligent. They're hard workers. They take care of their stuff. They kind of show up early, stay late. You know, they have a high standard for how things are done. There was a tweet, I put it on our production sheet recently, this gap between what I know of Minnesota and then the political class that I see thriving. Ilhan Omar specifically, pictures being taken over and over with Somali fraudsters. Governor Tim Walz is picture made with Somali fraudsters. There's if I would say Minnesota is known for anything, it's been excellence for all these years, and then now it's suddenly Minnesota is synonymous with the word fraud. And it's shocking to people because they're like, how is this happening so blatantly out in the open? There's Tim Walz with a Somali fraudster. There's Somali fraudster being arrested. These things have become, I'd say, almost synonymous now with the state of Minnesota. What role can you play in cleaning this part up? Because I would imagine most of the working class people of Minnesota are tired of funding this level of fraud that's being perpetrated out in the open with no pushback, and possibly even supported by the political class and the Democratic Party in Minnesota.
Well, it is being supported by Walz, our crooked Attorney General, Keith Ellison, Ilhan Omar. You guys, 5 years ago, I came out and I said, Minnesota is the Trojan horse for something else that is so horrible, so evil, and that's Sharia law and Muslims practicing Islam here. And I said that 5 years ago, and I was called a racist. We need to stop the ban Sharia law. Everyone in Minnesota, all the employers are afraid to say anything, afraid to do anything because they're afraid of, Minnesota nice and being a racist and being politically correct. Well, this fraud is the biggest blessing to Minnesota because now you can scream it from the top of your lungs. Ban Sharia law. This actually, because this happened up here, it actually woke up Texas where they started digging in. They find out there was 100 Christian churches in the last couple of years switched over to mosque. Okay, Ooh. We had a governor, Tim Walz, who actually kept the mosque open, put up the calls to Allah, whatever, in the Twin Cities. You hear it every day. Tried to shut down or did shut down our Christian churches during the virus. And also, get this, he accepted a satanic statue into our Capitol, and he got an award for it for being fair to the devil. You can't make this up. You guys can.
Jeez.
No,
It's,
you guys can.
it sounds like
You guys, if
parody.
you don't believe it, Google it. Google it. Okay, Google it. And that's not fake news like came out yesterday about me wanting amnesty. Okay, this is real things in Minnesota, and what's going on with that, you have this done. You have to ban Sharia law. I want to do that on day one. We have to ban it here. It's with the fraud, but the fraud's the gateway to do that. And it's not, this fraud with these centers and stuff, and all this money getting shipped over to overseas. I was just at the Minneapolis airport meeting with some TSA kind of underground thing the other day where we're getting the side. I have my people down there that and they said, Mike, there's still 10 to 12 suitcases full of cash going out here every day at the Minneapolis airport. It's got to be someone on the inside. This is still going on. And now, are they all going to be held accountable? We can only hope that. My thing is, you know what? Let's talk about Amy Klobuchar, who I would, if I get through the primary here and win and go for the general election. Amy Klobuchar and I agreed in 2018, 19, and 20. A documentary movie came out. A documentary came out in 2020 called Kill Chain.
Yep.
Now, Amy was the star in that movie. She named the voting machines. We got to get rid of them. 3 voting machines, ES&S, Hart, Dominion. She named them all. And she was the biggest one. It was all Democrats on there, by the way. I'm in lockstep with them. Yes, we got to get rid of them. Well, Amy didn't get sued for $1.3 billion or whatever it was. By the way, Dominion dropped that 3 weeks ago, and Mike was right. Okay. So anyway, that's another
Congratulations.
story. But Amy, yeah, thank you. But Amy, after the 2020 election, you guys can go check this out. A lot of it's been scrubbed from the internet, though. Everything she said about the voting machine, you can check that out. It's been scrubbed. We were trying to get it yesterday for a show. Lucky, we're very fortunate. We have stuff from the archives, so we kept all the evidence from the country, and her videos were used a lot. But Amy, at the 2020 election, she turned her back on that fraud. Oh, nothing to see here. All the machines are great. Mike Lindell, what did he do? Spent $80 million for 5 years building the cause of America and trying to save our country and going, hey, we have fraud. We have illegals voting, dead people voting. It's all these people and it's computers. It's all done with our voting machines, which 132 countries have banned. Well, what did Amy do since then? Amy turned her back on this fraud. She's our senator here in Minnesota, went off to Washington. They all solicited bringing billions back to Minnesota of federal money plus state money to fund these fraudulent welfare programs, your Leering centers and such. Well, Amy, I know, and they're going, are you blaming Amy for that? That's what my local media says here. I'm not blaming Amy, but I'll tell you what. Was she complacent in it? Did she know what was going on? I know one thing she didn't do. She didn't come back and follow her billions she solicited to Minnesota and say, where did this money go? Remember, that didn't go to people to help people. We were stolen. The money was stolen from taxpayers. But what about the people that needed those things, that actually needed things like food? And that was, there's more than just the Leering Center things that got stolen, all of our programs. So that, there's a pretty good ad too that they, but anyway, this is where it's at. I'm going to go head on with Sharia law. Sharia law does not align with our Constitution. I think, and by the way, downtown Minneapolis, my friends downtown, this is a good, one of my things when I'm doing, as I'm campaigning, goes, they don't want this. They do not want Sharia law. They can't, it doesn't assimilate with them, anybody. And it's a big problem. It's a huge problem.
So can you tell us, why did you choose Philip Parrish for your lieutenant governor? We know we had an opportunity to meet him at the event that you had. What an honor to meet him. But talk a little bit about him and why you chose him for lieutenant governor.
I needed someone that was courageous, that would one that was courageous, not only courageous, that didn't back down to the establishment and to fraud. He was one of the first ones in Minnesota that was that found the fraud. That found fraud back then. But he's a former Navy intelligence officer. This is what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy will dig in. I want to have like a Minnesota Doge. Okay. We've got to get in our programs right now in Minnesota. We have 24 welfare programs, major ones, and over 400 NGOs. And we got illegals sending money overseas. We got Somalians sending money. I mean, this stuff is bad. So we've got to dig in and not only get the fraud addressed, but also, are these programs good? We've got to make them the best they can be. You guys, after I quit all my addictions overnight in January 16, 2009, I spent the next 12, 14 years up until I got involved with all the election stuff. That's all I did was help people that homeless and people in addiction and people, if there was hurricane victims, here's a couple $1 million worth of pills, whatever it would be. I also set up a program using private sector money. It cost me a couple $1 million for this platform. And I did it in the inner city of Minneapolis, St. Paul. I actually did a prototype in Detroit where I was the government and people out there that wanted to help the programs like that are set up now. If you want to help these needs, vetted needs, and you knew 100% of your money went there, you can get a lot of money from the private sector because, wow, there's a vetted need. I'm partial to that. I know my money goes there. I was the government. I covered all the expenses, and we saved 40%, just shy of 40%. Can you imagine these welfare programs in Minnesota? Once I send Philip in there to clean them up, and then now we go, now let's look at them. And I'm looking at them now. My budget's going to come out now within about 2 weeks. So maybe that'll take over the news rather than, Mike wants amnesty. I have common sense solutions to every single problem we have in Minnesota. But Philip will be a big part of the biggest problem. That's where all our money's going. Like you say, Minnesota nice. They just keep piling it on. And Minnesota right now is, I believe we got to be in the top 3 most unaffordable places to live. People are leaving. Corporate taxes, income taxes, sales tax, property taxes, all going up. Our tabs on our cars, everything's going up to fund these programs and others things, of course. But so Philip was the choice. I mean, it's a perfect fit. You go fix that, because I'm already working in a parallel track, working on my budget. So now, in light of all this amnesty stuff, I guess I better get that budget out before the primary, so people see one of the fixes was an amnesty to the illegals in Minnesota. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One other thing I wanted to bring up too is, President Trump obviously supporting you. We had the opportunity over the weekend to see him at your event, and for him to come in, Mike, and the way that he spoke about you.
Yeah.
That was incredible to hear what he had to say, truly saying you are the hardest working person that he has seen, and to see the time, effort, finances, treasure, everything that you put into making sure that we have secure elections. I can't imagine a better endorsement, and what he had to say about you was remarkable.
No, thank you. That's me yelling for does anyone have a microphone? Because he surprised this kid. And everybody heard it, didn't they, when I yelled,
they
right?
They
did. Yep. I'll tell you, got to get the job done, right? And I was so honored. I did not know he was coming in. This event was set up 4 months ago just so the media doesn't grab this and bash it, blah, blah, blah. But it was set up over 4 months ago. It was a great event, and to let the donors know what we are going to do. You guys, that's another thing as governor where I can raise so much money from other states because they know Minnesota's the tip of the spear in so many things, including illegals, including Somalians, Islam. I mean, all these things, the problems we have here, because it's manifested from the Minnesota nice that who's going to say this is a bad idea? Oh, I'll take some more of my paycheck and more of my paycheck. But for him to come in there on a surprise there and give me that, we're good friends. And one of the things I want to tell everybody, too, because the media, it's funny, the media even attacked that after he endorsed me. But I want to tell everybody that, he was the first person other than my wife that I let know that I was running for governor. I called him on December 8th, and I didn't ask him for his endorsement. I would never do that. I wanted him to, if he did ever endorse me, to make it based on merit, not on our friendship.
Yeah.
And as he watched the polls, I'm number one in the polls. We're out there campaigning every day, working hard. I'm taking every interview. Obviously, some of them backfire, as we see. And but I've been down this road before. That's the one thing I can take is the media hit jobs, and. But so for him to come in, I was sitting here. That's where he kind of double endorsed me there. But it was last Thursday or whatever or last 2 days before, or the day before he came out with all the information, unclassified that. And it was perfect timing, divine timing. I'm here by myself at corporate, and about 6 in the morning, my friends go, "Hey, the president just endorsed you." And
Wow.
I'm going, and it came as a surprise, but it was so perfect timing because that Thursday, the very next day, he put out and declassified everything, which the media either they didn't even air it or they even attacked him for that.
Right.
And they didn't go look at the declassified information, but I did. And you know what? Word is almost on the first 18 sheets released. Smartmatic, 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 Venezuela, Smartmatic. This was the genesis. China attacking our country, China. Everything I've been saying for 5 years, there's only one truth. They go, "Well, Mike, how's it feel to be vindicated?" I said, it's going to feel good to say, because we got rid of the $5 million challenge. They said Mike was right on it. Overturned that a year ago. Dominion drops their lawsuit. Before Lindell TV, we dropped 800 pages of a library of evidence that's irrefutable, with facts to back it. Now you get the government declassifying this, and the media still can't come in and say, "Wow, Mike, you were right." And here's what I've said. Since they've been talking to them, and I'm going to talk to a lot today, I guess, to say, no, I don't want amnesty. I agree with President Trump's policies, and I always have. I think more than anyone in this country, I've had his back on that. I'm never, if through all the fights, people say, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump, I go, you know what? Everything you guys attack him for 2 months later, go, wow, it worked. It worked,
Right.
Yep.
And,
Well,
but they,
one thing I noticed at that event that you had that we attended, you got people like Joe Piscopo. He's famous, but you got a lot of others that aren't famous. They're just people in the business community. We talk to attorneys. We talk to different people, and they all have this same vibe. They're like, "I've known Mike for years. I know who he is as a person, and I'm behind his character. I'm behind him because of that." You're not a politician. If you had your druthers, if you had your dream life, you would be not involved in any of this. You'd be a part of a country that was already being great and everything was being enforced, but it's not. I love that picture. I took that there when Joe was dedicating a song to you, doing his, Frank Sinatra stuff. But people that know you, that don't know just from tweets and what someone said, that they've gone to your corporate headquarters. They've spent time with you. They've been around who you are as a person, the way you treat people when there's no cameras around, the way that you do the right thing regardless of what it costs you. It's the kind of character that somebody pulls for in a movie, because a lot of politicians are synonymous with like, "Hey, this is what I think," and then the camera's off, and then they do something completely opposite. And people are so sick of that.
It's obvious. That's why they wanted President Trump.
That's why they wanted President Trump. That's why they want you. They want someone that is one of them, that's overcome some of the things they've overcome, that is actually doing things, that goes to bed at night with the stress of how do I meet payroll. That has actually done something. They're sick of the Bernie Sanderses and people that have made a career out of politics, enriched themselves in politics, and not represented the people, and they've never built anything. And I think that's why people are excited to endorse you, and you've built great things. We were customers of MyPillow long before we had a podcast, long before we were involved in this space. We were AT&T and different ones that pull away from Fox News. You just bought up all the ads. You've always shown up and said, raised your hand and stepped forward when everybody else was stepping back. And that's why we've always bought your products. We travel with them. We love them. They're
we
superior.
Do not leave home without our pillows.
The only people that love your products more than us is our dogs. I have a Doberman, a great big Doberman. And if he could speak English the way everybody can hear him, I understand him. But if everybody could understand my Doberman, it's not even competitive how much he loves your products. The fact he can take his MyPillow bed out, we can throw it in the washer, we can wash it, we can put a cover on it, we wash the cover, we can throw the whole pillow in there and do it. We have a whole gaggle of grandkids, they're always spilling something or snotting on a pillow or doing something, with their kids. They throw them in the washer. They're great. They last forever.
They lay their head on, Bible stories at night. I mean, it's remarkable, right. Your product.
Even here at our home, we have a spare room just for our grandkids, and they got the MyPillows with the Bible stories on them. That's what our grandkids lay their heads on at night is God's word and a pillow. So you build great products and you do the right thing when people are watching, and you still do the same right thing when people aren't watching. And that's what I love.
Right now, I want to do something right now while people are watching, because your audience and you guys have had my employee-owned company in my back more than anybody, and with that promo code I just seen there, Flyover, you guys, we're going to make that free shipping on your entire order, no matter what you order today. So
wow.
Use that free shipping right to your front door. So, and I'll tell you, my employee-owned company appreciates. But I want to tell you a little bit about the dog bed. I was just telling this when
it's your best product. It's the best thing you got.
When we were at that event in Bedminster, all the workers came out. There was probably, I'll bet you 50 of them. You guys were not there then. It was after the fact, and then even the next day when I stayed there and had lunch, and they all came out. And I'm telling these kids, they grew up with the MyPillow commercials and jingle. They're all 20 to 25, and they're just, so we're all taking pictures. And then the one brought up the dog bed, and I go, I got a story about the dog beds. I said, if you guys Google or go to YouTube and look up MyPillow dog singing, okay? And what I seen, it was a phenomenon back then for a long, long time. Everybody would send in their videos, whether it didn't matter what kind of dog. When I came on the commercial, they would stand in attention and watch the thing. And then when the MyPillow jingle came on, they would, and they're singing. Now here's what happened. So what I did, I made a commercial, a half-hour infomercial, and I said, the dogs have demanded this, everybody. They're singing. But they and I said, so we made a collage of these dogs singing. It's so amazing. It said, and here we have the dog bed. So that's where the dog beds came from, because everyone was saying their pets were taking their MyPillows and grabbing them, and they're very territorial. And but if you guys get a chance, it's every species of dog. I don't know if it was something with my voice back then, but then when they came to the jingle for the best night's sleep, they would start howling. But they would sit. You look at those dogs right there, standing at attention, watching that commercial. So, it was just a phenomenon.
I love that.
Our dog's your most loyal fan, for sure.
Even our daughter and our son, they have your dog beds. Our daughter, actually, I think she's got 3 different ones around her house. She's got them in the kennel. She's got one over here for her dog, and I think she's got another one in her house too. Like literally, and the blankets. Like, you have the best products. And one thing you told us,
made in America by American workers.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing you told
us, not
only
in America though. Most of my products are, and we've got our MyPillow mattresses, our mattresses that people don't talk about. These are 50% off, free shipping right to your front door. I helped design them. These are coil foam combination, a hybrid. A 10-year warranty, 6-month money-back guarantee. You'll sleep on. It's like sleeping. It's a dream. It's amazing. And
all right, Flyover family. My name is Eve.
I love it. So, quick question for you: do you have a favorite product at MyPillow?
Mine would probably be, well, obviously the most functional, the MyPillow that gets you the best sleep, but the Giza Dream Sheets, and that's also the president's favorite product. When I gave it to him a long time ago. Wow. And we always bring it up back then. There's nothing like the Dream Sheets, the Giza Dream Sheets, and there's a feel like no other. I helped design them. They come with the best cotton in the world between the Sahara Desert, the Nile River, and the Mediterranean Sea, which is a climate where it makes things the best for one crop, and that's cotton. The staples grow longer, stronger, better, and I helped design it. They kept asking me, well, what about this? I'd say on a sheet. What about this satin sheen? What will this do? What will this count do? What will this do? And hence the Giza Dream Sheets are probably, they're definitely second. We've sold 85 million MyPillows now.
Wow.
Since I invented it. And And that was another thing where the media here in Minnesota attacked me. My Pillow's been the most attacked company in history. Our own government attacked it called Operation Arctic Frost. And but the media, actually the one they're pulling the clips off of from, when she interviewed me, she said, Mike, right when I announced I was running governor, she says, how can you run for governor? Isn't My Pillow bankrupt? My Pillow's bankrupt. She didn't say, is it? Yeah. Or she said, My Pillow's bankrupt. How can you run for governor? I said, My Pillow's not bankrupt. And you're holding that against me? I built from scratch, from being in the streets of Minneapolis all the way up to going everywhere in Minnesota, selling pillows, and to building it to thousands of employees and 85 million sold. And I said, and then to build a company, and we do everything in My Pillow, from the call center to the manufacturing, everything. CNN was just here yesterday and toured my factory, and he goes, wow, Mike, people need to know you're still standing, and it's bigger and better than ever, with over 500 products. And anyway, so with those sold, and then she says, and then in her next breath, I go, no, Esme, I said that's not a bad thing, that My Pillow, that we've been hit with all these things. I said, because we're still standing by the grace of God.
Yeah.
We were able to guide it through, just like the bad shape that Minnesota's in. You need some common sense solutions to get out of this. Now, you can sit and ask me all kinds of things, and I'll tell you, I'm very transparent what I think would be a solution. Now, is it a legal solution, right solution, whatever, in the climate we're in? But I think we should have conversations about these things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, business is hard enough to succeed as it is. Most fail. Mm-hmm. So when you have one that succeeds, while the full weight of the Biden administration, the government, every resource they had came at you, and every single lever that they had to pull came at you, and you're still standing. And Flyover family, if you want to talk to the nicest person probably you're going to talk to today, if you're just having a bad day, you want to talk to a nice person, call 1-800-889-5108, 1-800-889-5108, because they got the nicest people in the world you ever want to talk to when you call into My Pillow. They speak English, which is a great feature. It's not AI. You're not going to go through a gazillion prompts. You're going to talk to one of the nicest people ever that wants to help you. That wants to help you. The kind of people that work for Mike are the best. Yep. Dawn and everybody that we've ever had any interaction with, they're literally the best people that we know of anywhere. And your company is one of the greatest American success stories ever. There's not a lot of Americans that have never heard of My Pillow.
No.
It's one of the most household brands, especially among conservatives. And then, like I opened the show with tonight, you put it on the line. You are a pig, not a chicken. You are all in when it comes to contributing to saving America. And I've heard you say many times, you would start all over from nothing if we could have safe, fair, and secure elections. Not just Amy Klobuchar, who goes on the documentary and says we has a problem that changes her story. You've never changed your story. You beat that drum every single day. Mike, we'll give you the platform here to sign off, and whatever else you'd like to say to our audience, maybe in light of what's come out on X, or what you'd like to say to them about you running for governor August 11th.
Yeah, well, thank you. And you guys do call my reps right now and use that promo code Flyover and get free shipping on your entire order. They need to hear from you today. They're getting attacked by people right now calling in. These are people, remember, I really believe that out there on X, the slide put out there that Mike wants amnesty, soundbiting me and taking things out. I never ever said the word amnesty, ever. Okay? And asking these questions by these liberal left-wing reporters in Minnesota. But the ones attacking me are not the left. What's attacking me is people that there's people, I'm not even going to name names here, that have said, you're not even coming on my podcast, you're not coming on my show, without even finding out the facts, one person called me up, I started to explain, they hung up on me. Okay, you'll probably find out, that'll probably leak out to the media, but shame on them. But I'm not going to sit there. And by the way, this person, I protected them from the media, that they were attacked, and they were righteously attacked in a lot of ways. But I said, you know what? I'm still advertising on your show, because if I left every show where there are problems or whatever, I wouldn't have anywhere to advertise. And this is disgusting what's going on. But my employees have weathered this storm too. They have great employees. They're great people. Remember, Minnesota, My Pillow is employee owned. I'm just one of the 60 employees that own. We have hundreds of employees, but they've been attacked, and they've lost millions of dollars, over the years now at this attack. And don't forget, it wasn't just Biden's government, but it was these going after these voting machine companies. And you know what I asked the media? I want everybody to wrap your head around this. What's going on right now, it was said by one of my reporters on Lindell TV this morning. Last week, when the president went out and declassified that and gave his speech and said, everybody go to the website, or go there. Here's where you can go to see this declassified information. He didn't put any up on the screen, right? Most of these reporters, most things didn't even air it. I was surprised Fox aired it, but then they shut it down, right? But anyway, they air the speech. And I've talked to these reporters because I've been bringing this up as they've been going after me for other things and saying, did you guys go to the site? And did you go there to see what dropped that our federal government declassified? No, they didn't. So you got this narrative and the media is going, Donald Trump, he's the same old. He's putting out, there's no evidence of the 2020 election. And they bash that speech. Instead of saying, hey, everybody, go over here, he declassified it. Mike was right, or whoever was right. Mm-hmm. Okay? So instead, what happened yesterday, everybody, with this thing comes out, which I couldn't do anything about it. I'm giving a speech up north at the time it happened. They come out with, Mike wants amnesty, 6-month amnesty. And I'm just getting attacked. It's trending. I have people calling my call center, attacking them. I have the two people I'm running against here in Minnesota. Rather than, of course, they're not going to say, as I protected one of them for sure. I've been in prayer group with him. So now you know who it is, everybody. And Kendall Qualls. And then you got Lisa Damon, the darling that was their pick. Those two, they've come out and attacked. Look what Mike did. Do people really believe that I flipped overnight like somebody gave me? They can't say, well, everybody's wondering, going, what did Mike, did somebody get to him with some billions of dollars? Everybody knows you can't buy me. I've spent everything I have, and I've never stopped talking about saving our country. So did Mike just get zapped by a liberal? Did he turn into some Sharia law loving crazy, I mean, this is bizarre that they would, but you know what? That's my advantage. God uses all things for good for those who believe. And any other candidate would have woke up or been there last night and went to bed and said, you know what? It's over. It's over. It's over. But people know I've never changed. Back when I was the media's darling, back before I even met Donald Trump, I just say I'd have every news outlet in the world going, Mike, how many more veterans are you hiring today? Wow, you went from a crack cocaine addict and you built this amazing business, one of the biggest Minnesota this country's ever seen. And you go, look at all these people, thousands of employees you're hiring. How many more people you hire and giving them second chances out of addiction? How many homeless are you helping out? How many millions and millions of dollars you put in whenever there's a hurricane or a tragedy? How about Minneapolis? How are you helping out Team Challenge, Salvation Army, all these things, right? And then I meet Donald Trump. I come back here in 2016 and do a press release, and the worst paper in the United States, the Star and Tribune, turn on me. And all this stuff happens in these attacks. And this is going on now. So people out there, I would hope, I expected more out of people that know me. That, I hadn't come out with a statement. I got here this morning. I got home at 1:30 in the morning from that event, almost 2 in the morning for my governor's event. I wasn't going to just quick post something and post it out there. I'm going, what happened? I was on that stage. But part of it, I want everybody to know, because this is very critical to people, because people are going, well, Mike, you posted it yourself. This is not true. And I want everyone to listen to this part. When I was on that stage, I'm getting texts. It was before I went on stage. It was like Philip talked first, Philip Parrish talked, my lieutenant governor. And I'm backstage and I'm going, what? It says, it's all over the internet saying Mike's going to 6-month amnesty for all the illegals. I'm going, what? And I'm watching this go viral. Now, I didn't have time to read everything, so I called up my social media gal who has my personal social media, on all my social media, every Getter, Gab, Truth, Vocal, X, everything. And I said, I'm not going to give her name. And I said, we got to come up with something right now. Put something out there. I said, this is crazy. So both her and I made a big mistake. I said, why don't we put 6-month amnesty, ? Find the real truth here. and send them to the website where I talk about the 110 million the 1,300 illegals in our prisons here in Minnesota. Wow, we save 110 million by shipping them out.
Right.
But all these things there, and these employers paying these illegals illegally, well, we put that up. But once again, just like the president on Thursday, nobody bothered to click to see the truth. And when you looked at it, your first glance, the question mark was kind of too small and then an exclamation point. So people that seen this on the internet or seen this on social media, they came to my social media sites and go, wow, it's true. It's true. You see, I mean, it was horrific for me. I'm on the way home. My wife and I are pulling over at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, I can't believe this. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when I was getting the evidence to the president on January 15th of 2021. And I had all the evidence I was bringing him, but I needed this order signed, this government gag order that was on Dennis Montgomery at the time. I can say his name now. And to get that released, and lawyers gave me some papers that I've never read to this day. You all know the story. And I'm in there at the White House for 2 or 3 hours, and then the lawyers give those papers back, and I had them in my hand outside the White House making a call to my son.
Yep.
And the Washington Post took a video or took a picture of it from a quarter mile away, and on there, peeking out, it says martial law. So if you remember what the media did, they came after me. Mike Lindell wants martial law. He's and all this stuff. It was, you remember that? I mean,
I remember that picture.
I absolutely do.
You're standing right by the post. There's a beam right there.
Yeah, one of the most famous pictures in the world. But you know what? God used all that for good too. Because that got the what I was saying all along. We got to get rid of the machines, and you know what? The media kept attacking me, and what did I do? Just that's the way I got the word out. So maybe today, as the media attacks me, it's a little different though right now because it hasn't made it to the media. They know it's fake. So then you have it's all social media. This is different for me, and I'm being attacked by my own party here in Minnesota. Remember when I came out. When Donald Trump, when our great president gave me his endorsement last week, our own party in Minnesota, Alex Plekish, attacked me. He said Mike's not worthy of being a governor. He's not his whole statement. He's got baggage or whatever, and we're surprised the president would do this. Like the president's some kind of an idiot for endorsing Mike Lindell. This is what he came out with. So these things you're seeing on social media. I know where they came from. They didn't come from CNN. They were with me yesterday validating my pillow's still here. He was very surprised when his article comes out. CNN's going to write the truth for once, right? And here, out there, this lies of not being registered, and now the lies that I want the amnesty, 6-month amnesty. It started with the Minneapolis Tribune, the worst paper in the United States. For 6 months here in Minnesota, everybody. You wouldn't even know I was running for governor. That's how they used to suppress me. Don't even talk about Mike Lindell. Well, now at least God uses all things for good. Maybe this horrible thing that they're attacking me on, I can get the word out today. Well, everyone's going to know my policies and what I stand for. I haven't changed. I want everybody to know that. I haven't changed.
Well, Flyover family, here's what you can do is you can share this to somebody you know that is from Minnesota, somebody that is maybe shared something online that might not have been accurate. Just take this and post it in the comments section. Get this out. Mike wears his cross every single day. You look at the picture behind him. It's got Jesus in the line of Judah. This is standing in contrast to Tim Walz and a campaign that had a picture of being equal opportunity fair to Satan. I mean, this could not be a more clear-cut case if you have an ounce of discernment in you whatsoever. This is what you're coming against, what's on the screen right there. Amy Klobuchar has been a part of that regime for years. She knew about the election fraud. She was in a documentary documenting election fraud, then turned her back on it all of these years. If you want something to change, something has to change, and Mike can make that happen. And please share this episode with people that are in Minnesota, that care about Minnesota. And then anytime you see something in the comment section on X or anywhere else, take and repost and share this in the comment section below those incorrect statements. And Mike, thank you for clearing this up today.
For Mike, be praying
more than
for
anything
Mike.
Else.
Put a hedge of protection around him. Mike, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Do your feet ache and throb in pain with every step you take every day of your life? Well, Kiss those days goodbye with slippers from MyPillow.com. How about that flimsy, flat little excuse for a pillow that's nothing but 8 hours of disappointment, causing you pain in your neck every single night? You can wake up with nothing but butterflies and rainbows around your head with a MyPillow pillow. Those hardwood floors hurting your old bones? No more with a MyPillow dog bed. Are your towels worn thin, flimsy, more patchy than Joe Biden's memory? There's nothing better than absorbent towels from MyPillow.com. For all of these products and more, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code FLYOVER for up to 66% off.